1st of May, get into summer workouts and where we're going and play well. In spring, again, I go back to it. I think we played well. Was very pleased with the guys up front. McKinley Jackson wasn't in there. He had a shoulder. McKinley had a hurt shoulder basically all year and had it cleaned up at the end of the year, and he'll be fine this summer and ball and get him back in there. But Isaiah Rakes, you saw the big nose guard, 320 pounds in there, physical, can really play inside. Alvin Regis is another young guy that we're really high on that I think played extremely well inside and banging around what he's doing outside. To me, say he's a really high recruited guy that plays defensive end. There's another guy that's kind of that 280-pound range that can go inside, outside, and can rush. He was a very physical pass rusher, sneaky athletic, can really run. And what he did, and I think Fidel Diggs, probably our MVP this spring, he's like Michael Clemens Jr. I don't like to compare guys, but as far as physicality, toughness, played hard, played physical, down in, down out, every day. And it was one of them guys, if you said, Fidel, I don't like practice, you can't do this now at the old 20-hour, like we used to do, Jackie, years ago. And say, we'll blow the horn, start this thing over. It'll be about an hour, 45 minutes into it. No, the players loved that, didn't But believe that or not, Fidel would be one who would. He would hug you and say, Coach, I can stay out here all day and play and practice and do the things I got to do. And I thought he was outstanding in spring. And you saw the big guy, Anthony Lucas, the young freshman, who's about 6'6", 285. Guys, this guy's going to be, he's a heck of a player. I mean, he really is. He come in and he's still 17 years old. He won't even be 18 till this summer. I mean, he was in there playing and playing against these guys and doing that. So very happy with his progress and what he was doing. TP's doing a good job coaching him more reps. So I think those guys up front is a good nucleus of guys, along with all the guys coming in. I mean, Malik and all the Sheila and all those guys coming in from down here in Houston. That is going to be a really, really good group of guys. We'll get some of those guys healthy back from season-ending injuries. And I'll let y'all ask some questions in a minute because I know I won't hit everybody. Somebody's going to have a bunch of them. But the linebackers was really pleased. I thought Coop had the best spring he's had. Coop, Andrew, he's always run around. You saw him, he can run. I mean, he can really run. I mean, he's like a DB as far as being able to run. But he's learning to play much more discipline, play gap control, learn to slow down the linebacker. Sometimes you got to slow down to go faster at linebacker. Let that read happen, not try to get out of his gaps. But it's really becoming that guy along with when he pulls that pin down. I mean, he can go sideline to sideline and run. Andre White, I thought, was the best spring he had. Very physical, played very consistent. Downhill physical guy, I thought did a great job. Chris Russell had a really good spring. He'd be the top backup behind those guys, along with Terry Lane and Nish Harris. Those guys all had good springs, so it was a good group. In the secondary, great to have Miles Jones back. You saw him in the spring game the first time. At the end of spring, he was able to go consistently day in, day out. He hit a 6'4" corner. So you got to remember, he was out last year after playing great football for us 2 years ago. And having him back, I think, as a sixth-year guy is going to be huge. You don't get many chances to get those guys back. So very excited about where he's at. Of course, Jalen Jones was out with an injury. Jalen has a chance to be a really good player. Tyreek Chappelle played half a spring, tweaked the hammy, but Tyreek played last year as a freshman. We were really happy with him. I think he's got a chance to be a really, really good football player. And of course, Denver Harris from right here in Houston come out and had a really good spring. Denver's the real deal. I mean, he can play. He can run. He can play. He actually, I was excited about. He played, tweaked the hammy, which he had in high school a little bit. If you ever followed him, he fought like crazy to get it back. Missed about 3 practices and came right back in the spring and competed his tail off, which was very exciting for me. You see guys like to do that and back off. He was busting it. And I think he has a chance to be a really, really special player. I think that he does. Get Damani Richardson back. Damani had an outstanding spring, most productive spring he's had too. And as you say, he's a senior, his 4th year. He's in that first full signing class we had. He signed with Kenyon, and I thought he made a good decision to stay. A lot of those guys, that's what I say. That's another part that's with juniors and stuff. Damani being able to have patience. Everybody thinks I got to be 3 and done. That's the call. So I recruit all the time. Listen, I love them guys want to be 3 and done. But if you're not ready at 3 and done, wait a year. And I think Damani made a great choice. Not that he couldn't have played in the NFL when he got drafted. But I think made a really good choice, probably made himself a lot of money by coming back and being patient. Like I told him, it ain't getting there, it's when you get there, and the way you get there. And that first contract, when the higher they draft you, the more time they spend with you. I know that. And put things in. I think he'll make a great choice there. AJ, Antonio Johnson, you saw, we had a conversation about Antonio. He missed a lot of spring, had a hammy. But there's no need there. I thought he played good. But Antonio's got a chance to be a really special player. If he continues to play, has a chance to be a high draft pick. I mean, I don't know where. But like I said, we were talking there before. When you go in that first round, and Richmond will tell you this. Look at Richmond. 6'5". Wings. What was your wingspan? 83, 84 inches? 7 foot? He's got to be. They might not have measured it back then. If you're bigger than Kenyon, Kenyon was 83. But those physical qualities allow you to be in that first round. There's going to be something, not only how well you play. Some of the players might say, how's that guy got a first round? Well, he may not have ran 4.3, he may not have ran 4.4, he may not have been 6.5, he may have been 6.3. And to those guys, for some reason, those guys paying all that money, that matters to them. But there's, those guys have a chance to be, like Antonio's a guy, his production, the things he has a chance to be a high pick if he runs and does those things right. But was a very productive player for us. I think he's one of those guys in the modern day player, him and Damani both, that can play multiple positions. What I'm saying, he can be a nickel, can play dime, can play safety. You could put him on, in certain situations, at Mike linebacker on 3rd and long, let him play the 2 Tampa stuff and run, and a really good special teams guy. He was a really good receiver in high school, had really good ball skills. Playing on the defensive side, I think he has a chance to have a great year. And the guy loves ball. Tough, man. He's tough, too. I think he has a really special chance. Was really high with Jordan Gilbert, young man coming out of Baton Rouge. And I think he had a pick in the spring game, if I remember right. But he played well all spring. First of spring was kind of about the first 3 practices, and all of a sudden, man, that light came on. He started flying around, making plays, and saw a really good player. And the other guy that jumped at me, too, was Bryce Anderson. Another one of those young freshmen that came in that played nickel. Bryce has ran 10-4 before. Now, they say there's expanding quality. Like I say, guys have potential to be those kind of guys. But when the ball was in the air, you saw that speed, he could close. And I was worried how he played defense, to be honest with you, because he was always an offensive player. He always had the ball in his hand. He adapted really well. And I would say the best DBs to me that I've ever had, and I've had some phenomenal. Randy, a bunch of those guys we had back in Florida State, they were really offensive guys who played defense. Their ball skills allowed them to be really special. And I think Bryce has that knack. He has the ability to play the ball so well and close in space. But he tackled well. And then I said, how physical is he? We were in the 3rd practice. About the 3rd practice, we threw a little out route out there, and he was playing safety. He come down, and I mean, he lit that. He was wanting to show off. He lit that poor receiver up. And I jumped his tail on him. Get your ass off the field. Da, 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 da. And then the whole time I turned around, I was smiling like that, walking back. I was smiling like that because I said, he'll hit. I said, he's got that in him. And I had to reinforce it. You guys been there. No. Yes. But just in the act of him playing and doing those things, I thought offensive line-wise, I'm really excited. I think we have a chance to be very good up front. You know this. In the SEC, if you can't play offensive defensive line, it's hard. I don't care how many skill guys you got. You got to have skill guys, but it's hard to play at the highest level. And again, 2 years ago, that was one of the best things we did. I mean, our offensive line, you only had one guy drafted out that Dan Moore. Dan Kenyon ended up being a first rounder, but the other 3 guys are free agents, and they're all still sticking on teams today. Carson and McCollum from right down in here, but those guys, they played so good. We had 4 sacks on the year. We could run the football, we could throw it, and allowed Kellen, who had an outstanding year that year, to really function and play. And I think we have, again, the headaches we had last year having to play true freshmen at center who had never played. You remember, Bryce Foster played center last year, guys, had never snapped the ball. Then he got hurt and tore a pec in the middle of summer, and only had half a fall practice to even get that going. And the job he did as a true freshman was amazing. Guy has a chance to be a really special player. He didn't go through spring with us because he's still on his shot. He's one of the top shot players in the country. He's got a chance to qualify for the Nationals, be one of the top 12. Possibly, I think he's got the 10th or 11th best throw in A&M history right now. And he wants to be an Olympian. He wants to be an Olympian in the shot. And there's our coach there's had 2 or 3 guys, and he said he's right on track with those guys if he can keep going. So I think Bryce has got a chance to have a tremendous future in what he does. Matt Wyckoff behind him, another Houston Magnolia guy, I thought had a good spring. And then Remington Strickland, who I think is really coming on. I think Remington is really, I was very pleased with him. He really took some strides this spring, having some depth. You can't have enough centers. There are not enough guys. There's only so many guys snap the ball. Leighton Robinson, another guy who signed with Kenyon in that class, who maybe is probably the strongest guy on our team. Kenyon's a guard who can displace people, who's powerful, who's really coming into his own, I think, a guard. Deuce Fodry behind him. Deuce, he got thrown in the fire too last year as a freshman. I mean, he had 2 freshmen battling up there. He was 6'7", 325, 30 pounds, just depending on what he eats that day. Depending on how he goes. One of those guys. But, played really good football, and I think his best football. He was a great basketball player, and out of high school. And it's his footwork and balance. As he's really learning the game, he has a chance to be a really, really good player. I think all those guys will make a lot of money at this game one day, which is encouraging. Josh Bankhead behind him is another Houston guy backing him up. And the things were going. Aki started last year at guard for us. We got him right now at tackle. He's 6'4", he's like Kenny. He got those real long arms. His feet, we think he could be out there at tackle too. So we're going to develop him at tackle first. Possibly could go back to guard. He didn't get to go through spring with it. didn't do it, had a foot injury that just nagged him the whole time. He'll be healthy and be able to go. Trey Zoom, we're really happy with, the young left tackle who blew a knee working out in high school, but would have played last year, in my opinion, as a true freshman. But he played left tackle. I think has a really good future. I think he has a chance. There's another freshman. So again, you're talking about sophomore, junior, freshman of the 4 starters I'm talking about right now. And I think Trey has a chance to be a really good player. Our big Australian, Moko, he finally went on a diet, lost 25 pounds, and got down to 330. But the light came on for him. He's somebody got never played much football, and what happened was he didn't realize he hurt his knee, had to get it scoped right before he came over here last year, and couldn't work out for about 3 weeks. He put that weight on, he never could really get it off. And he come in the off season, and he made tremendous strides. He's got a chance to battle for that starting job inside with what's going on up there where he's at. Of course, we have some really good guys coming in. Cam Dewberry's another outstanding young freshman I think can make an impact. There's a big guy, don't forget a guy named Mark Nabu coming out of the state of Washington. I'm going to tell you now, he was 354 pounds at our camp last year and ran 5 flat. And has power, speed, and can bend, and is athletic, and has real power, has a chance to be a really good player up front. Again, another young guy that has a lot of power. So those guys I think have a chance to really develop in there. Somebody, I hope I didn't miss anybody, I'm sure I did probably. Tight ends, again, Max Wright, another Houston guy who moved over from defensive end, had a really good solid spring playing there. Blake Smith playing behind him, true freshman, a redshirt freshman that from South Lake Carroll. Had really good hands, has to get more physical and block, but has a chance to be a really good player. Jake Johnson, I'm really high on. Max's brother, you saw, was rated, whatever this tight end was rated. We got 3 coming in that are outstanding, in my opinion, and he had a great spring. He get to play at the end. Guy's 6'6", 240 pounds, great hands, great ball skills, highly intelligent football players. Max's brother playing there. I was very happy with him, things he did. Then you get to the tailback. Again, I keep saying this. I told these guys the other day, I got too many Houston guys. I'm going to have to quit recruiting you. I'm going to have to have a limit. Only half on Houston, half not on Houston. I tell you, every time I look up, it's a Houston guy. Devon and Chain playing tailback. Chain had 900 yards last year, 7 yards a carry. Can catch it out of the backfield. People say, well, can he be the featured guy? Yes, he can. He's 188, 90 pounds. Travion, all those guys were like that. Devontae Freeman came to me, 192 pounds, played probably 198 to 202, and he's been all pro for a long time. And the Chain is a very special player, in my opinion. Right now he's running track. He went 10 flat the other day in 100 meters, and he's got the fastest 200 unless he got broken. It's 20.2 in the country right now. So he's running, doing both, so he'll be back in the summer. But people say that he's a football player who runs track. He's not a track guy who plays football. And I say, you watch him run, how patient he is, and how, he great hands, understands the game, physical, tough. I'm going to tell you something about him, too. Incredibly intelligent. Tell him something one time. He picks it. You can make a lot of changes with him and do things. So, Maury Daniels, you saw in the spring game. Maury had 128 yards rushing in the spring. Another guy, he's got a pretty good pedigree, too. He came from a school that gave me Devontae Freeman and Dalvin Cook out of Miami. So when I was at Florida State. So same back, same type thing. Had the same record, same numbers they did. It's another 210 pound, 5-pound guy that is going to be a really good player for us. And then LJ Johnson, who I think is outstanding too, didn't get through spring with a hammy up here side, but we'll have back this summer, get that hammy healed up. I think he has a chance to be a really good player. Ernest Crownover, the fullback, hybrid tailback guy that played a lot of fullback and big tailback. And then Le'Veon Moss, the freshman we signed out of Baton Rouge, I think has an outstanding. And then we got another little guy back there, we put back there number 0. You can see Anaya Smith, this Mr. See, everybody claiming about this. They're all claiming Debo Samuels. We were Debo Samuels way before they were Debo Samuels. All that stuff going on out in San Francisco. We were a year ahead of those guys. You remember the year he had 2 years ago playing tailback and receiver. And I think that's what he's going to be. He's going to be one of those guys who can do everything, punt return, and get it nice in there. But nice is one of the best football players I've been around. Instinctive, tough, catches the ball. We played him receiver half a spring, played him at tailback half a spring just to get him the reps. And you got to utilize. We can do a lot of things. We can motion him back and put a chain out. You can call a lot of different combinations of things you can do and where we can go with that. So happy with him. And then the other 2 young tight ends, Donovan Green from the same place that Jalen Wiedemeyer's from, who I think is going to be another. I think he has a chance to be a really special player. Really physical as a blocker, tremendously athletic. And we have everybody says, you went national recruiting. No, we went global. We went to Sweden and got a tight end. So if you saw him in spring game, 6'5", 6'5.5", 253 pounds, and he's in the mid 4.5s. and he can catch the ball now. I mean, he can run, he has great hands, and I think has a chance to be a really good football player. So those young guys coming in are excited. We got to get them ready. We got Wiedemeyer ready. You forget about that. We had Jace. You forget first, Jace only played 1 year of football. Never hardly started in JUCO and come here and made All-American. So we know that's a position we've had a lot of success with of getting guys ready to play. So I think those guys and that along with Max and Blake, we ought to come up with a good combination in there. Sometimes playing two tights, that's a good mix today. Guys can't. Everybody's playing nickel defense. Play all that nickel defense. They got to line up and take on those tight ends. That's no fun. Them DB's got to block those. Go against some 260-pound guys as a changeup when you hand the ball to change some of these guys. So we'll mix our looks up and whether we're 4 or 5 wide. But then receivers, I got really excited. I thought we had a great spring. As you know, Evan Stewart's the first freshman I've ever come in. He was MVP this spring. Evan can run. I mean, he's a true freshman, but he is a very intelligent young man. He can run. He can take the top off. I mean, he can, and from the day, not just on the practice field, on our workout, those fourth quarter workouts, and you guys know what I'm talking about, those all-season workouts, and every player hates. They hate it. It's just designed to break you, basically, and to find out how tough you are. He was at the front of the line, the fastest guy we have today. From the minute he got there with his attitude, I got told there ain't no age limit on play. He said, that's all I need to hear, Coach. Boom, jumped out there and just took over and just started going 100 miles an hour. And I'm very happy with him. Made a lot of progress and still has tons of work he can do. That's fine, but has the right attitude. Devin Price behind him. I thought Devin got back the second half of spring. Devin's got a chance to be a good football player. It's Terry's son. Played with him. Terry was a heck of a player, and he's got a chance to be a really good. He's a great kid who has a chance. He's a big body guy that has a chance to be a really good player. Of course, Anias is in the slot, but then you got another guy named Keith Brown, and you saw in that spring number 8. That's another guy from Miami that can run. You saw every scrimmage he had big plays down the field, and he can catch it, run it. And he can go deep, he can run, he's tough, he's physical. He can come in the backfield and play tailback. He played tailback 1 year as a sophomore, he had 1,400 yards in high school, and then played slot. Him and Amari went to the same high school, and he played slot. So, but he can really run. Moose Muhammad played there. And then, of course, outside Chase Lane, another Houston guy who I think really had a good spring. I thought he had a great year 2 years ago. Last year had a good year, but he come back this spring. I was very pleased with his progress and where he went. Playing. Keith can go outside there, and of course you got Jalen Preston in that mix too, playing outside. So that group is good. And then group of quarterbacks, as you know, you got to have quite a few of them. I'm very pleased with where we're at. Now I don't know who the starter is, and that's a good problem. It's not because of what they're doing wrong, it's because of what they're doing right. And the scrimmages before that, like I said, spring game, we limited what we did a little bit and threw it, and it was 35 mile an hour, but still could have played a little better, but could have called some underneath stuff to help them out. But scrimmages before that, I think I'm trying to think of the number. One was 20 of 28, had a couple drop balls. That was Haynes, had 3 touchdowns, and Max was like 20 of 26 with 3 touchdowns, and both scrimmages before that played really well. Very pleased with them. Both guys, as you saw, Haynes is much more than a runner. He can run. It's a shame he got hurt last year. He was really coming on. He can do things with his legs, his body, but he's such a competitor, guys. He's a coach's son. He should have played back in 1970. I mean, he's like, when I say about that, how hard, tough, competitive, and loves ball and does all the things. If you practice 8 days a week, he'd be there 8 days a week. Max Johnson, the same way. Can't outwork him. His dad played 14 years in the league, and both guys, you talk about their hard wirings right, they're wired right. And you know this, and you found out last year, you got to have 2. We probably should have had 3 last year. If Calzada wasn't so tough, popped the shoulder back in place and had a knee banged up in Alabama, you could have been playing with 3 guys last year. You got to have depth, and that's the hardest one to get it at, because as soon as you don't play at quarterback, everybody's hitting that portal and they're running like crazy. But we're blessed to have 3 guys, and I think both those guys can play in the NFL and have a chance to be really good players.